So, guys, I want to talk about AEW and that, next week is going to be a really kick ass week for me. I'm going to go to Blood and Guts, and then I'm actually going to fly over to Texas. I'm going to the ROH show, and then I'm also going to go to Battle of the Belts. And I don't mind sharing a little bit of a sad story that, I actually went to the Supercard of Honor show in Philadelphia. But what happened was that there was, an emergency that happened, so I had to end up giving up my ticket. I was so mad because I wanted to see Dalton Castle and all the greatness of Dalton Castle. So, that was really heartbreaking. But then I saw, the NXT show the next day, and then my boss called me, and he was like, you can't stay that weekend because you can't go to WrestleMania and other things, because I'm super busy. But I was able to go to the Dynasty show, see Swerve Strickland. But I've been to over 50 AEW shows. But I do want to talk a little bit about, this issue of the Dallas show. There's this talk that there's going to be a Dallas show, and it's going to be at the AT&T Arena, and that's over 100,000 people. Now, I do have a prediction that I think that they're going to not do Wembley Stadium in 2025, and they're actually going to have All In the Texas area. And there's a couple of things that make me say this, that obviously every year they want to have a show that's 100,000 people. I do not think that that's ever a good arena for AEW to have on a consistent basis. What I'm trying to say is that imagine if you had that for Full Gear and then you had Wembley Stadium in 2025, really. No, you need to kind of have maybe that big mega show and one big super large arena at least once a year for AEW, because they've not kind of shown that they're really growing their audience. That's something that's going to really sell out, really. It would be cool if they were able to do that, or WWE was able to do that. But outside of WrestleMania, really. But I do think that that's my prediction, that they're not going to have a Wembley Stadium show in 2025. And then also the hard thing to say about it is that it makes no sense that when you do these shows next week, it makes the most sense to kind of really advertise this, because obviously they're doing a bunch of Texas shows. So I do think that, if that's the plan, to not do Wembley Stadium in 2025, really, that's a little bit of a hard time to reveal that, because I think what's going to happen is then it's going to lower their ticket sales, because people are going to be like, okay, I'm a little mad that they're not doing that in England for another year. So this is the last year they're going to do it, really, because you never really know, because I know Wembley Stadium has to be very expensive. So that's my prediction of it. But I would also kind of talk to you guys a little bit about ROH and also Battle of the Belts, that, next week is a very important week for AEW. I know that they're going to have a really good Blood and Guts show. They always advertise it well. My prediction is that they're going to add Billy Gunn. No, they're going to add Max Caster, Anthony Bowens, and they're going to put Darby Allin in this. They could always put Billy Gunn, but I doubt that. I don't think they'll do that, because, definitely the intention's usually Max Caster and Anthony Bowens. But with their ROH show, I don't know about any of them. I believe there's only 2 matches announced, which is Queen Aminata versus Athena. And the controversy is also, I believe Athena is on crutches. So it's almost like, you're doing that thing you do with MJF, really. When MJF hurt his leg at Full Gear, you're going to have a rookie, you're going to have somebody beat a one-legged man. Now you're having somebody beating a woman on crutches. And then the next thing you're going to do is, I believe it's Billy Starks versus Red Velvet for the ROH Women's Championship, for Television Championship. And it's who's Red Velvet, who's Billy Starks. And then the next thing that I'll say is that you have Roderick Strong versus Mark Briscoe. Again, I appreciate Roderick Strong for stepping up, really. And also, he really has to do a lot as a heel. He has to make this a really big deal and all this stuff. Sorry to give you a little bit of a rhyme. But, and I think he can do it, but I don't think that he is going to do that. But, definitely during the Blood and Guts match, you should have the Undisputed Kingdom interfere and mess it up for Mark Briscoe if you want to kind of actually make something out of this for Mark Briscoe to kind of respond to. And if you don't do that, that's kind of stupid, really. But then I kind of wonder, what are the other matches? Because usually they have, between 10 matches and 13 matches. And Supercard of Honor. And the other issue about the show, Death Before Dishonor, is that it's actually $55. So I'm a little worried that AEW might do what AEW does well, where they'll be like, okay, you know what, we're either going to like overload the show with matches with no build, or maybe they're going to say this year, you know what, we're going to cut some corners. So since, you know what, it's like 3,000 people, everybody pays like $55 really. If I do my math correctly, that's like $15,000 or $18,000, and then maybe they get like a credit from Texas or something like that, saying, okay, since you have multiple shows, you actually need to kind of cut down on the. We can kind of give you a cost reprieve or something like that, really. So let's say they're gonna make a little over $20,000, you know. So this is like a free show, really. You never know if they're gonna do something like just have. Like I said, they could have the Von Erichs in this. They could defend the trios titles and have Christian Luchasaurus and Nick Wayne, and then the Bang Bang Scissor Gang. Like I said, they could do something with Dustin Rhodes, saying that, you know what, maybe at Wembley Stadium it's going to be whoever. There's going to be a tournament for the ROH championship and it could be Dustin Rhodes in that or something like that. Really, they can have some like tournament matches for somebody to go after the ROH women's title and ROH men's title, and you put Willow Nightingale in that, Chris Statlander in that, and then a few other people. You know, this is kind of like, you know, a backup thing. And then also with the men's one, you could put like a couple of people like Dustin Rhodes, Jack Perry, and a few other people. So that way you have like a good match at Wembley Stadium. And like I've said, that they should defend the women's ROH title and the men's ROH title at Wembley Stadium, just to make it feel like, okay, if you're a champion in that company, you can actually make it a big deal. You know, you can actually defend your title at Wembley Stadium, and it's like a big, huge deal and everything like that, really. But I think that I'm a little worried that, you know, they're actually they may not make the show a big deal, the Death Before Dishonor, when this is a huge opportunity for all the ROH wrestlers to put on a great show or to bring other people in and put on a really, really excellent show and stuff like that. Like I said, I really hope that they can have the Von Erichs. I really just hope that they make this a big deal. And then the other issue is Battle of the Belts. And if I've done my math correctly, like last time I researched Battle of the Belts, I think only 2 times in Battle of the Belts you actually seen a title switch. And then the other thing about that with that thing is that if you kind of add up all the matches, you have like less than 2% chance of winning a title in Battle of the Belts. Really. Like, again, you know, why can't you advertise this? Why can't you make a big deal out of this and be like, okay, here are the titles that are on the line, really, you know, and you know, let's say you have 4 titles and you say, okay, these 4 titles are going to be defended at Wembley Stadium. So it's ultimately like, you know, are you going to get a new champion, or are you going to have the champion keep it? And then maybe add a stipulation saying that if one of the champions loses their title, they can't appear in the Wembley Stadium show. So it's almost like if Athena loses it, or Mark Briscoe loses it, or Swerve loses it, or Kyle loses that, they automatically can't be on Wembley Stadium. Something like that, really. Or you can kind of do something like, as I said, like, you know, what would happen if you had Jack Perry versus Mark Briscoe, and then what happens is that they have a match at Battle of the Belts. It's good. Jack Perry actually wins, but it's because he cheated, and Tony says, no, you're not going to do that. So what's going to happen is we're going to vacate the title, and we're going to have a triple threat or something like that. There's so many things that they can do, really. But I think that with AEW, they don't really know how to kind of take those 2 shows and make it a bigger deal, really. So it does kind of make me wonder a little bit about, you know, what they're going to do in Texas, how it's going to turn out. And then the other big issue that I have to tell you guys is that, you know, again, if you want to sell out the AT&T Stadium, you want to have a big show in Texas or Dallas, you have to make this, you have to make these 2 shows a really big deal next week. It can't just be, you know what, everybody, a great like blood and guts show. If you do that, that's bad, really. It has to be not just a 1 knockout. It has to be 3 great knockouts. And I'm not sure if Tony like really gets that, really. But, you know, you can't have 2 clunkers. You know, the goal of the EP Sports Arena is just to say, you know what, okay, we're gonna have 2 shows. You know, we charge low ticket prices, but we need to put on bangers of shows, really, because if we don't do that, that people are gonna say, "Oh, this sucks," really, and then your next big show is the Wembley Stadium one, so you don't want to like have two, you don't want to have like A plus and then two like Fs, or two Ds type of thing, really. So I really hope that Tony understands that there's a lot of pressure on him to make both shows great, and if he doesn't do that, that's really really unfortunate, really. So there's a lot of pressure on Battle of the Belts and Death Before Dishonor being really great shows next week, and I hope Tony Khan understands that.